Okay. So hey guys. So my name is Rajani Ekunde, and I'll be talking on as John introduced the topic. So I'll be talking about feature flags, dark launches, and safe deployments. Like using these all things, how we can reduce the risk in production. So this is basically the topic is, and we'll be discussing a lot of things around the same. And this is all about me. Okay, so currently I'm working with Okta as a senior site reliability engineer. I have joined them recently, like it's been just 4 months, I guess. And I'm a Docker captain as well, and a WT ambassador as well, where we basically try to include more women into tech conferences and into tech basically. And I'm an international speaker and Lyft scholar as well. And apart from the day-to-day activities that I do in my work, so I really love enjoying writing technical blogs, and I'm very active in the cloud and DevOps community. So I basically believe in how I can give back to the community. So all the things that I have learned, I believe that I have learned from the community only. So I just always look forward to any opportunity where I can basically give back. So that's all about me. So let's jump into the topic that we are having. Okay. So why exactly this topic is important? Okay, so I had given I guess 3 or 4 topics, but out of that John told me like you just need to come up with one topic which is gonna be the best one, like which I'll prefer. So basically that's how we ended up with this particular topic. So why exactly this topic is important, we'll talk about that. So before actually we are getting into the tools and the techniques of the thing, I basically would love to start with why exactly this is important. So, if you are seeing an example on the slide, so you can see there's an example I have mentioned in the slide. So, there can be a single unnoticed feature that can broke your entire infrastructure for 30% for the users. Okay, and that is really gonna be a very scary part, because considering you are dealing with a payment system, and if you notice that there is some issue which is causing you 30% of the users, so this is really very scary. And suppose if you have already like deployed the code globally, and like for example, like take into consideration that there was no feature flag included, and there was no OIS solution provided, and there was no kind of any kind of dark testing was done. So this is the scenario that you are having, and by the time you and your team is realizing the issue, uh, like rolling back to the previous stable version of the deployment is going to be really taking a lot of time. So this is what the situation is. And honestly, this is not uncommon, I'll say. So I have seen like something similar to myself when I was working with my previous organization. So there was a very tiny backend logic that basically changed silently, and it impacted around 10 to 15% of the sessions. So that happened, and eventually everything like the testing and stuff that all passed, but everything looked very perfect. But when we noticed the production, so that was a completely different scenario. And once everything was live, so we basically lost the control. So that's was one of the scenario that I had faced. And like this is basically where your mindset should shift, and that is very important. Because when we are talking about safe deployments, are safe deployment won't mean like kind of a slow deployment. Okay, safe deployment will always allow you to ship uh, in a very fast manner with confidence as well, and basically by providing you high availability and stability as well. So this is how this is important. And if we are talking about some okay, so the most of the mature engineering teams I have seen, so they mostly don't rely on luck. So of course this is a good practice, like we shouldn't rely on luck. So these teams, or we should always use these different terms, we are different things we are having, like feature flags we do have dark launches, we do have canaries, we do have progressive delivery things. So multiple things are available in the market, so we can of course make use of this, and we can try focusing how we can basically stabilize the production, and we can provide high availability to all the end users. So this should be the end goal. And this is the reason why this particular topic is very important, and why we basically chose to go ahead with this topic. Okay, So next up we are having what exactly the problem that we are facing, or what is the problem which we are trying to solve here. So I do have multiple bullet points mentioned on the slide here. Okay, so we'll just talk about these all one by one. So firstly, when we are talking about safe deployments, okay, so that is because of these traditional approaches. So if we are going ahead with the traditional approaches, so simply like in most of the cases, or in some cases, we can see that traditional approaches won't work. So this is the first issue that we can call as deploy and pray. So this is the mentality we are having when we are dealing with the traditional approaches. So in this, you just don't deploy something and you hope nothing should break. So this is how basically it's all based on the luck. So if we are going ahead with this particular mentality, then of course there won't be any kind of safety, or no gradual rollouts are going to be there, or no backstop is going to be there. So this is one problem that we are having. Another challenge we do have is big bang releases. So if you are considering that you should ship 10 to 20 changes at one time, and when something is going to break, so you need to like basically go ahead and dig deeper, like what exactly is the issue, what is the reason that this particular thing failed. So this is the scenario. And even if it's looking like there are like five multiple dishes are there in one particular plate, and then you are trying to test which ingredient ruined the flavor. So this is basically very complex, and it's definitely going to take a lot of time for you to debug that. So this is another problem we are having with big bang releases. Then another we have is tight coupling between your deployments and the releases. So the moment you are gonna basically deploy, the feature is gonna go live. So that's the scenario, and there won't be any kind of space to test your changes or test your features safely, and there won't be any kind of opportunity given to you so that you can expose the thing slowly. So this is another issue we are having, okay, which is basically of a tight coupling between the releases and the deployments. Another problem we do have here is of hard rollbacks. Okay, so anyone who has ever been part of some kind of emergency rollbacks, we can say, so they should know how stressful it is to like basically perform a rollback, a complete rollback in an hustle or in emergency situation. So it's going to be very slow, and sometimes it can be incomplete as well. And this hard rollbacks can often like basically result into riskier than the usual deployments that we are doing. This is another issue. And next we do have is no control over the live traffic. So you can't say that like a thing like let me just first test this, and then let me just test this with only 1% of the users, and it's all or nothing. So this is another issue we are having. So we won't be having any control over the live traffic that is flowing to your product. And then finally, we do have another issue that is of poor visibility into the real time. Okay. So by the time you are realizing something is wrong, something is broken, end users or customers, they have already felt the impact. So this is another issue. And these are multiple pain points. Basically, they are trying to tell us that we need better strategies. Okay, so strategies which should give us flexibility, control, and safety, and good performance, high availability. So multiple things are there expected by the end users, and we should be following such strategies, which are basically giving good experience to the end users. So this is the problem that we are trying to solve here. Okay, so next up we are having what safe deployment space actually looks like. Okay, so again, I have mentioned multiple points here. Okay, so first we can see here is deploy anytime. Okay, so deploy anytime doesn't matter if even if it's like 11 a.m. in the morning, or it's 7 or 8 p.m. at night. So deployment no longer means everyone sees the feature. Okay, so you're basically shipping the code and you are not releasing the functionality. So this is how deploy anytime thing should work. Then we do have release when ready. Okay, so there can be a scenario that maybe your business wants to announce like the same some feature or some product next week. So or maybe your like quality automation team wants some more testing to be performed. So in this aspect, like your deployment and your release becomes two independent decisions. So this is another safe approach that we should follow. Then again, we can talk about instant rollbacks as well. So if the feature is causing some issues, okay, so there won't be any need for you to like you don't need to redeploy or rerun the pipelines. So you can simply go ahead and you can turn it off, and you can imagine basically simply like doing an undo button in the production. So that's how instant rollback should be working. Then we are having the like a control over like your audience, okay, not over the audience but control per user, or control over the audience. So you can basically start with your internal testers, and then maybe like 1%, or then you can go ahead with the 5%. Like gradually you can increase the confidence, and then you can test your updated changes. Then again, we can talk about one more one of the like biggest superpowers we can say that basically is experimenting safely in the production. So this is like very important thing and very kind of highlighted thing we do have, like directly testing in the production, or performing any kind of experiments live in the production. So you just basically you can test your backend performances, and you can see your how exactly your UI is flowing, and you can basically deal with some kind of new logic. Basically we can talk about real users, or like the live traffic that you are facing, but you are doing these all things in a controlled exposure. So that is how you should basically experiment safely in the production. And then again, we do have last point here as observe, measure, and adjust. So this is the process, or this is the loop that basically we need to follow. We first need to observe, then we need to measure, and then we need to adjust the changes. So this is how safe deployment should look like. So in short, like if I'm summarizing this slide in one line, I can say that it's basically like you are driving a car, and you are constantly looking at your mirrors, and you are making the small adjustments whether you are properly able to see which vehicle is behind, or on your right side, your left side. So you're constantly making the tiny adjustments on your mirrors, and that's how these safe deployments are going to give you the exact same ability which your mirrors are giving you. So that is how your safe deployment should look like. Okay, so this was all about the slide. Okay, so let's now get into one of the point that I had in the title of this topic, that is feature flags. So we'll be understanding what exactly feature flags are, and some more components, or like some more features of the same. So we'll go ahead with one by one, whatever different points I have specified here. So feature flags are like we can say that they are one of the simplest yet most powerful tools for your safe deployments. Okay, and the core idea of feature flags is basically you can deploy your code anytime, and you can decide separately when your users should actually see the feature. So this is very interesting. Like at least I found it very interesting. Like you can basically deploy your code, but you have the freedom to decide when your user should actually see the feature. And this scenario, or these feature flags, they completely change how your teams are working. And talking about one of the like benefit of feature flags is decoupling from your releases. So you can basically push your code into the production, and you can let it sit there quietly for some time, and then you can reveal it only when it's truly ready. So this again is going to give you the complete freedom, or uh, complete freedom to like do what basically when you want your users to see the feature. So this is how complete ownership, sorry, I was not getting that word. So you'll be having a complete ownership on your code. So this is another benefit we do have. And Another one of the major advantage I can see here is that when it comes to environment specific toggling, so that is again possible here. Like you can turn one flag on, like basically on in dev environment, and you can basically turn one flag off in staging environment. So this on is basically going to be dealing with the internal users in the production, and the off is basically for the external users. So that is how you can toggle between on and off for these different flags that you're using. And this all functionality you'll be doing without touching the code, or without performing any kind of redeploying of the actual code base. So this is very big advantage that feature flags are providing us. And there are again like some kind of more things I can talk about here is we have this concept of granular rollouts again. Okay, so simply you can say that if your requirement says that you just need to show this particular new feature to only 5% of the users, or you are basically like you want to show this particular feature to like only, we can for example we can take only Bangalore based users, or you want to show this to only premium customers or premium users, or only internal team members. So you'll be having this like you can choose what exactly you want to do with the customers or video or with the features. So this again is going to give you an like incredible control. And again, like suppose of course if there is something which is failing, okay, so if something fails, something is breaking down, then again rolling back to the previous stable version is going to be really very quick. That's going to be really very instant. You just need to turn the flag off, and there won't be any kind of downtime going to be there. So this process is going to be very instant. And flags again are going to make your deployments very safe, and the experimentation process is going to be very easy, and the debugging is going to be very fast. And it's simply like you'll be having the remote controls for your own software, and again the complete ownership and the complete freedom. So this is all about feature flags for not one. But apart from this also, like that there are many different things, many different features which feature flags are providing. I have just tried to summarize like the most important ones here. So next slide we do have what different types of feature flags are available in the market. So the most common type we have here is the release flags. Okay, so these release flags are basically going to help you to ship any new features in a gradual manner. Okay, so instead of exposing a really big UI to redesign to everyone, you can basically start with a very small percentage of the same. It's basically like testing a completely new dish in a completely new restaurant, only with like limited amount, or only with few customers before putting that particular dish onto the menu. So this is basically how this release flags are working. Gradual rollouts is going to be provided here. Then we do have experimentation flags as a second type. So this is basically A/B testing toggles, we can say. Okay, so this experimentation flags are going to allow you to expose two variations of the same feature to different user groups. And you can again imagine like you have a version A of your home screen to one group, and you have your version B to another group. So whichever performance is going to be better. So this is how you can basically improve the conversion rates. So this is how this second type is working. Then we do have ops flags. Okay, so these ops flags are mostly used as kill switches. Okay, so these becomes very handy when you are dealing with incidents. So if a new recommendation engine is kind of misbehaving, or it's not working fine, or you are basically having a new cache layer that is causing some kind of overload or burden, so you don't wait for redeployments. So you simply need to switch it off. And I have seen outages which basically help you to prevent purely because of a kill switch was existed. So in these cases, ops flags are going to be playing a really important role. And then we do have one more type here, that is permission flags. Okay, so these flags are gonna help you to restrict the access based on different roles. Okay, so it's more like enabling a premium dashboard only for the paid customers. So, or in other terms, we can say that it's similar like you are basically exposing the beta features only to the internal staff. So that is how permission flags are working. So each flag that we do have here in feature flags is going to help your teams to release in a very smart manner, and you can basically go ahead and test in a very fast way, and you can again recover quickly as a rollback is very instant here. So these are multiple feature flags types we are having. We do have a very short demo as well, so we are going to get into that as well once I'm done with explaining these things. So next slide we do have is about dark launches. So I do have here the definition, use cases, and one of the examples as well. So we'll just talk about these things. So talking about dark launches, so these are nothing but I can say that dark launches are the most underrated deployment strategies. So the idea here is basically very simple. Okay, so you can deploy your new code to production, but you can keep it invisible to the users. Okay, you can deploy it but keeping the deployment invisible to the users. That is possible using dark launches. So it's more like you are installing a brand new engine in your car, but you're keeping the car inside the garage for your internal testing. So in similar manner, dark launches are gonna work. So one huge benefit we do have here is the backend performance validation we are having. Okay, so no staging environment is truly gonna reflect the real production traffic patterns. So these dark launches are basically gonna allow you to run the code under the actual load without taking any kind of user risk. You can perform the testing, but there won't be any kind of risk involved in the same. So this is incredibly powerful for features like when it comes to recommendation engines, or you are dealing with the payment pipelines, or we can also take an example for the search algorithms as well. So in these kind of use cases, this is going to be really very important. And another great use case we can talk about here is API first development we are having. Okay, so your backend teams can basically release they can release and they can validate their APIs before your front end team is going to start using the same. So this is again possible only because we do have this use case API first development, and there won't be any kind of waiting, or there won't be any kind of dependency blocks as well. So this is the second use case. Then we do have dark launches, like the third use case basically. So dark launches again are very useful for validating the infrastructure at a scale. So it can be the scenario that maybe you are switching to a completely new database, or you are basically incorporating a new caching layer. So you can start the routing in real time traffic in internal way, and you can basically observe how exactly things are working, how exactly the infrastructure is behaving, or the setup is behaving, and then you can make the adjustments long before your users can actually see it, or your users can actually use the same. So that is how again another use case we are having for dark launches here. And like summarizing this all slide into one line, we can talk that we can take an example. Okay, so one of the best example of the industry is basically the like button of Facebook we do have. Like I'm not sure like how many people use Facebook here, but still, so we do have this like button on Facebook. On every post we do have this. So these like buttons are dark launched. Okay, so suppose if they dark launched it for weeks before rolling it out publicly, so they can basically test the performance, they can check the stability, they can check the behavior. So basically we can check everything that is going to happen, but that is basically kind of acting behind the scenes. So that is how dark launches that is basically what dark launches are and what different use cases it is supporting. Okay, so another slide we do have here is for canary deployment. So this is again a really very interesting concept we do have. So canary deployments is taking an inspiration from like we can say we have this mining techniques, okay, old mining techniques. So that from there this inspiration was taken for creation of canary deployments, okay. So if you have seen miners used to carry these different canaries into mines because the birds would censor the danger before the humans did. Of course, that's a fact. So in technology, a canary deployment it's basically your early warning system, we can say, okay. So it's basically going to give you a warning if something is going to happen, something is major is going to happen. So instead of oh, sorry. So instead of releasing a new version to 100% of the customers or the users, you can basically start with a very tiny percentage. So maybe it can be 1%, or it can be 5%, or it can be 10%. So based on how exactly you want to test, or how exactly your metrics are looking, so based on that, you can basically increase the number of customers. So that is how canary deployments are working. So we can basically try taking in practical example here, okay. So imagine you are upgrading your payment microservices, and instead of exposing every user to the new version, you can send the traffic from only 1% of the users. And if something is going to break, you can say like there is some kind of error spikes are there, or there is some kind of latency issues are arising. So you can basically observe what happened with 1% of the users, and then you can basically like tell your system to automatically roll back to the previous stable version. So this is how we can basically experiment with only a tiny number of people, and then you can go ahead with a big number of people. So this approach is very useful for infrastructure changes, I can say. And again, if you have to do some kind of risky backend updates, so in that use case, again, like this canary deployments are going to play a very important role. And canaries again are going to give you real production insights as well, even with very minimal risk. So you don't have to guess, you just have to observe things. And again, like there won't be any kind of thing like we are hoping, or we are dependent on the luck. So there won't be any such scene. You just need to observe the scenario, and you just need to see the metrics, the measures, and based on that you can either roll back or you can go ahead with the deployment. So that is what exactly canary deployments are, and how exactly they're helping us to like basically improve the deployment strategies. Okay, so again, blue green deployment. So this is again a very interesting concept we do have, that is blue green deployment. So blue green deployment are one of the I can say they are one of the cleanest ways to ship your big releases without any kind of downtime. So you can think of blue green deployment as like having two identical houses, and one house is basically you are living in, that is we can say that is a blue house, and one house you are having that is a greenhouse, but basically you are renovating the same greenhouse. So once the renovation is perfect, you can move in from blue house to the red house. So that is how this process is going to be again very instant. So this is what exactly blue green deployment is. So if we are basically talking about the how this we can relate with the production environment now. So production we can consider that blue is your current live environment we are having, and green is a new version that is being prepared. Basically you are renovating, and like based on the traffic that is continuously flowing into your blue environment, your green is going to basically sit idle. And once you are pretty confident that like my green is again like completely ready, it's completely renovated, you can simply swap the load balancer from your blue environment to green environment. So this transition is going to be very quick, and your users will never experience the broken state actually. So this is how we can quickly shift your entire traffic from A to B, that is basically from blue to green. So if something unexpected is going to happen, okay, once you are done with the transition of the load, if something unexpected is happening after the switch, so your rollback again is going to be very immediate. You just need to send the traffic back to blue. So this is how blue green is extremely useful for your large releases, or in again, like if you can't afford any kind of downtime on the application, so in that use case as well, blue green is going to be playing a very important role. Okay, so we do have a comparison table here. Okay, basically we are trying to compare the deployment strategies. Okay, I do have some more time. Okay, so this is the table we do have for the deployment strategies. So we'll just go ahead with this. So feature flags, we do have as a first technique here. Okay, so feature flags are very perfect for any kind of UI changes, or if you are basically dealing with gradual rollouts and A/B testing. And here the risk is very low because here the rollback thing is very instant, and they won't be. You just need to toggle between on and off. So that is how feature flags are here. Then we do have dark launches. Okay, so dark launch is best for backend testing, or if you are dealing with infrastructure upgrades as well. And in dark launches, user will never see the new behavior until you are ready. Then we do have canary deployments here. So canary deployments is gonna really shine uh, when you need real production validation, but you also need a controlled exposure as well. So in canary deployments, you only need to expose a very small amount of traffic at the first place, and then you can basically go ahead and roll back, and this process can be automated too. So that is all about canary deployments. Then we do have blue green deployment. Okay, so blue green are great for as we discussed like in the previous slide itself. So they are great for big releases where like downtime is not affordable. Downtime should be zero. In this use case, blue green are going to play a really great role here. And again, in blue green, you'll have to maintain two different environments, and you need to basically switch from one environment to another whenever the second one is ready. So considering this all techniques which I have mentioned, okay, so there isn't one single best approach we can say. Okay, so mature teams are like really serious kind of teams. So they actually combine these multiple strategies. For example, we can say that dark launch as for the backend, and control flag exposure using the flags, and you are basically using canaries for the deployment, and you can again like basically taking blue green as a final safety layer. So combining these all strategies, you can basically be more comfortable with the deployment, and you can be more predictable. You will be having a more controlled and a stress free production. So this is all about this particular table. Okay, so coming back to the next thing here. So, how exactly these modern pipelines are supporting safe deployments now? So everything that is going to begin with GitOps. So you have to store all the configurations and all the manifest files in the Git, and this is going to make your deployments very versioned and auditable as well. Okay, so next we do have is CI/CD. We have multiple tools in the market for CI/CD, like GitHub Actions. We have Jenkins, we have GitLab CI, we have Octopus. So which are gonna basically automate, build, test, and roll out the workflows. But automation itself is not going to be enough, of course. So you also need to observe the things as well. That is basically the observability part we do have. And we do have tools like Prometheus, Grafana, Datadog. So multiple tools are there which are going to give us real-time metrics like latency or error rates or the CPU usage, log traces. So multiple things are there. And then we do have feature flag platforms like Harness is there, Unleash is there, I guess LaunchDarkly is there. So multiple things are there which are gonna give us a more control layer. I do have less time, so I'm just gonna quickly wind up. So we do have this slide of Octopus Deploy plus GitOps here. So instead of deploying directly into the Kubernetes or directly into the any platform where you're hosting the things, so Octopus is gonna update the Kubernetes manifest which are stored inside the Git, And this basically means that your Git is going to remain the single source of truth, and everything is going to change in a kind of very versioned and reviewed and auditable manner. And then we do have this Argo CD or Flux. So these GitOps agents are continuously going to watch the repo where you have stored the base code. And when they are basically going to detect a change, even a minor or major change, so they will automatically sync the same to the KTS cluster in a safe and controlled manner. And this is basically going to prevent the configuration drift, and it is again going to help you ensure that your production is always matching the Git, whatever the updated things that you're having in your Git, so that should be always matched with the production. So this is what will be taken care by here. And even the feature flags we are having, so we can store the same in Git as well. Okay, so like using the config maps, or we are having CRDs as well, so using this we can store the same in Git. And for rollout strategies, okay, so we are having Argo CD that is going to take over, and like if we are handling the canaries, or we are checking the metrics, so or even if we are dealing with shifting the traffic as well, so these all things can be taken care by rollout strategies. And then we do have, if we are basically putting these all bullet points into one, so we can say that your flow is going to look like Octopus, from Octopus to Git, from Git to Argo CD, and from Argo CD to cluster. So this is how a clean and a reliable pipeline that is having a blend of automation, versioning, and safety is gonna look like. Okay, this is architecture that I have. Okay, so let me just skip this, and I'll just come back to this the same if I do have some more time. But before that, we do have this demo setup, a very quick and like interesting demo I have created around feature flags. Okay, so in this demonstration, the intention here is very basic actually. So we just need to highlight the fact of feature flags here. So we are going to use a very tiny Node.js application that is going to serve a basic web page. And there's a flags.json file that I have created, and that is going to hold the state of the feature flag. Okay. So whenever the flag is set to false, the feature is technically deployed. The code is going to exist, but the user won't be able to see the new feature on the product. So that is how a classic dark launch that is how classic dark launch is going to look like. And whenever we are basically changing the flag to true, the feature is going to appear instantly without restarting the application, or without redeploying, or without redeployment of the new product. So that is how this feature flag is going to work. So because whenever we are basically changing the flag, or we are toggling between on and off, the app is going to read the final file, the flag file which is there. And on every request, the updated like the whatever state we have changed of the flag, so that effect is going to be very immediate on the production. So that is how it is working. And this is a very tiny demo we are having, and the whole philosophy of this dark launch or feature flag we are having. So this all will be covered. And basically will be able to deploy anytime, and we will be able to release it whenever we are ready. So that is what the demonstration is. So let's jump into that. Okay, so this is the source code I'm having. Okay, so this is the code of the application. It's a very basic Node.js application we do have. And here is the flags.json file we are having. So currently you can see the flag is set to false, and the application is already running. I had ran it previously. So the flag is false right now. So we'll just go to, okay, here you can, only thing you can observe here is welcome to my app. This is what it is printing. But if we are going back to the code, and if we are changing this to true, we are just changing this. We won't be rerunning, we won't be redeploying, we won't do anything. I just updated this from false to true. Now if we are going ahead and refreshing it, you can see new feature banner enabled. So this is how exactly we can toggle between true and false, and we can uh, the classic thing, like we can deploy anytime, but we can only release when we are ready, and it will be only visible to the end users when we want it to be visible. So that was a very tiny demo I had. Okay, so we have another slide here. What best practices that we need to follow whenever we are dealing with these all concepts. So feature flags are really very powerful, but if you are not handling them properly, they can introduce a lot of chaos, and like we need to be very careful whenever we are dealing with them. So first thing we can talk about is we need to remove the flags when they are not needed at all. Okay, so cause if you like unknowingly, if you kept the old flags, so they are going to turn into kind of zombie flags, we can say, and they will be very confusing, that will be very risky, it will be very complicated to maintain the flags as well. Then we do have adding the TTL flag. Okay, so if a flag is meant to be live for only for 2 weeks, and you basically want it to expire after that, so this is going to prevent a long time clutter as well. And we can talk about log flag evaluations. So whenever you are dealing with debugging, it's going to be incredibly helpful to know which flag state, or which user saw at which particular time. Then we can again like separate deploy from release. So this is again a best practice that we need to follow. So there won't be any need to tie deployment and releases together. So you can deploy small and you can release intentionally. Then we have automated rollback conditions as well. So if your error rate is spiking beyond a threshold, the system should revert the same. So that is a best practice. And one last best practice I have mentioned here is that you can couple the rollouts with SLO based on the alerts. If your reliability is going to dip, or you are basically trying to stop the rollout at a very urgent basis. So these are some of the best practices I have mentioned here. But apart from that, also there are many things that we can take care of. I guess I have already crossed my time. So that was the session from my side. If you have any questions regarding this particular topic, and regarding the architecture which we couldn't discuss in the session, see, so you can basically simply scan this QR code. You'll be getting to my LinkedIn, my Twitter as well. So you can just basically ping me there. I would be more than happy to discuss the things with you, and like resolve your queries as well. And if you want this presentation as well, so I can share that too. So that was the session from my side. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Rajani. That was wonderful. Really appreciate you taking the time to explain things. Also, we're a big fan of Okta, so can you tell us a little bit about some of the work that you do there?
Yeah, so I have recently joined them. So like the my team is basically a completely new team that we are like in India. They have created this team from scratch, and will be basically dealing with the creation of standard images. So what exactly we'll be doing? So that work is still in discussion. We are discussing a lot of things. We are taking feedbacks from a lot of different teams, and we are figuring it out like what exactly is supposed to be done. So I'm a newbie actually. So it's just been 3 months for me.
Awesome stuff. Well, there you have it, folks. Thank you very much, Rajani. We really appreciate the time for you to present on all those great things.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.